Look, this Jordan Henderson story isn't exactly great fun. It was hurtling along yesterday, and I must admit, I mean, we were talking yesterday afternoon. I had to put the brakes on some of the discussions that we were planning to have, because as we stand in this moment of time, as far as I understand it, nothing has been agreed. The Saudi club Al Ettifaq have offered the Liverpool captain a deal, and he is yet to respond. Is that how you understand it?
Yeah, I think so. There have been some reports that he's verbally accepted the proposal. I think as we sit here on Friday morning, that potentially is going a bit too strong. And it's interesting, you use the word preemptive there, and I think there is a lot of that. And I think I'm not necessarily against it. I think if Jordan Henderson needs to be made aware of the depth of feeling from Liverpool fans and from certain sections of their support base, then maybe that's a positive if that is going to play a part in his decision. But I made the point on breakfast this morning. I think the idea that he turned up for showdown talks yesterday with Jurgen Klopp and would make an immediate decision on such a life-changing move is fanciful in the extreme. This is not something that Jordan Henderson will enter into lightly. Clearly, there are 700,000 reasons why he would make the move, but I think there are many reasons why he might stay as well.
It's interesting because that's the reason, I think, why yesterday, when you were being pushed to confirm the story that he'd agreed the deal, you refused to do it. I was with you when that was happening, and you were saying that it isn't sorted. You were calling sources, you were speaking to people on the ground in Liverpool, and you were saying, hold your horses, it isn't done yet.
Yeah, and I think it's important, particularly a transfer of this enormity with all the social issues that are attached to it, but also the fact that it would be a game changer just in terms of the profile of player that is going to make the move to Saudi Arabia. I do think it's an increasing problem for European clubs and for UEFA themselves if more and more stars who would usually be plying their trade in the Champions League end up in Saudi Arabia. Clearly, from a marketing perspective, that's going to damage the project, and I don't think damage the product. Rather, I don't think that UEFA and many of these European superpowers necessarily expected this to be the direction of travel. We thought it would be veteran players at the end of their career chasing one final payday, not the Liverpool captain.
I think what worries me a little bit is that I wonder whether or not there needs to be a little bit more caution with this rush to judgment. It's not the same as a Dele Alli situation, but in terms of rushing to judgment and deciding that something is to be criticised before we know the full truth of the situation, I think that's a little bit unfair. I heard a clip in the news just moments ago suggesting that they were questioning. Someone was questioning the honesty of the Liverpool captain about his feelings, depth of feeling towards those supporters from the LGBTQI plus groups, suggesting that there was some sort of issue in terms of his allyship. We don't even know that he's going to go and play in Saudi Arabia yet. So how can we question a guy's character when we don't know what his response is to an offer? At the end of the day, all that's happened at this moment in time is that someone's come along with a couple of bags full of cash, put it on the table and said, will you come and play for us? He hasn't given an answer to that. And until he does, I think it's very difficult to question his motives, bearing in mind we don't know whether he said yes. I think we had one report yesterday of someone suggesting strongly that he'd taken the offer. And so far, as you understand it, it hasn't progressed further than the stage of the offer being made.
No, and I think when they came in, they were hoping that they might be able to lure him on a free transfer or for a minimal fee. Clearly, he's somebody that Liverpool value much higher than that, so there's still those discussions to really be formalised between the two clubs as well. And who knows, if he does go, Jordan Henderson might believe that by being in Saudi Arabia, by being visible in that part of the world, that he might become a greater ally for those groups that he represents. I think once he's made the decision, we need to hear from Jordan Henderson. We need to hear his reasons, and he needs to be given the opportunity to put across his side of the story.
If he decides.
If he goes.
That Saudi Arabia is for him. 03717 223344. Does there need to be a little bit more caution about rushing to judgment ahead of stories breaking properly, rather than deciding the narrative before we know the truth? We should have learned a lesson maybe very recently from the Dele Alli situation. 03717 223344. You can text us as well, 81089. They want 10-20 million pounds for Jordan Henderson, is being reported today, if Liverpool are going to sell him. Fabinho, another one who could end up going to Saudi Arabia. There was interest in him yesterday, and we also got information yesterday afternoon about Riyad Mahrez, Sadio Mane, Aymeric Laporte, all being linked with a move to the Saudi Pro League. So I wonder whether or not that there is going to be a talent drain to this league that continues to increase, and whether that talent drain is going to end up being a flood.
Well, Sadio Mane would be another huge name to attract to the league. Obviously, former Liverpool player, Bayern Munich. Now to swap the German champion, to team who play regularly in the Champions League for Saudi Arabia, I think would be a big statement. And Erik Laporte, you made the point when I got that information that he too is potentially considering a move. He's only just forced his way into the full Spanish squad. And I think we believe that by going to Saudi Arabia, effectively he would be harming his chances of getting in that Spain squad at the end of the season when there's a European Championship.
He changed his nationality ahead of the previous European Championships in order to be able to qualify for the Spanish squad. So it's a big move for him to go away. 700k a week, guys. He's in his 30s. He's won the top prize in England and Europe. He's not an England regular, so it's a no-brainer. And why worried? They can't tempt guys like Haaland, De Bruyne, Saka and Rashford until they attract a guy in his 20s, an international. Then there's no threat at all. This is China all over again. It'll just be a little bit longer due to the resources that Saudi have. Everyone has themselves and their families to think about first and foremost. Moral crusaders won't pay your bills, says Phil. Crookie, you're failing to gather that Jordan Henderson is a veteran player now at the end of his career. Wasn't starting for Liverpool or England regularly. You go on like he's still a superstar. Completely his choice anyway. I think a massive deal is being made of this. Jack, who is a Queen's
He played 23 Premier League games last season, didn't he?
Did he? Henderson. And he was suffered with a bit of an injury as well during the early part of the season. Look, he's a brilliant guy to have around the training ground. He's been brilliant for the England squad. Just as one of the leaders, the drivers. He's a driver of men. He gets people up to the standard. He's worked so hard on himself to get him to become a top level footballer, a Premier League winning captain, that you've got to admire his endeavour and work rate. And if you've seen any pictures of him over the course of this summer and the work that he's been doing to get himself into top shape for this season, that's one of the reasons why I was so surprised when this story started to circulate, because I was looking at him. I was thinking about what I know of him and his career so far, of his family background. I was thinking, I'm not sure this is the case. I don't know why. I haven't had any contact. I know you've been on the ground speaking to people in Liverpool, but I just think I can't see this happening because of what I know of Jordan Henderson. But there is a groundswell of opinion now that there is going to be at least a consideration given to this offer, as you would expect it to be. 03717 2233 44. We also had a discussion about UEFA and FIFA, because at the moment the pinnacle of club football happens to be the Champions League. FIFA will be thinking, if all of the best players, or if we ever get to the situation where best players do start to follow towards the Saudi League, are playing in that league, then the FIFA Club World Cup will take on greater significance. They'll be delighted about it. Yeah,
they will. And as I say, I think UEFA are becoming increasingly concerned. This is just when we're on the cusp of changes to the Champions League to try and make it more marketable, more matches, more television revenue. As I say, if people like Sadio Mane are going to desert UEFA's flagship competition, I think they're within their rights to be worried. And we're going to talk also, it's not just players, managers. We know that there's been an approach for Jose Mourinho and for Marco Silva, who still hasn't committed to his new contract at Fulham. There has been some speculation as well that Premier League chief executives could be tempted out of Saudi Arabia. I joked about this, Paul Barber, big money bid.
Well, he's been linked.
Well, yeah, but I can tell you, no interest on his part, no negotiations. He's staying at Brighton.
Okay, 03717 2233 44. What happens if this move does not ultimately materialise? Has irrefutable damage already been done to Henderson's reputation by questioning his previous motives to support the LBGT community?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.